Hi guys, Noonie here, bringing you another video about my experiences in Thailand. And what I wanted to go through today was something that's a bit more practical, not a top 5 or top 10 or anything like that. This is about how I book my hotels when I plan a trip to Thailand. Now this is going to be different for other people depending on your itineraries and all that kind of stuff. Some people, they'll go to Thailand for a month, they'll stay in one place. I like to kind of travel around while I'm in Thailand, and that does kind of make the whole planning process a little bit more complicated. You know, rather than someone who is saying going to Pattaya for a month and they just go on Airbnb or book a condo for a month and they don't have to think about anything. If you're travelling around, it can be a bit more complex, and like I say, you do need to do a bit more planning ahead. And if you're not familiar with somewhere, so this is your first time to Thailand, then I've got some tips for you in how to select your hotels and the best way to do it. And the reason for this is I personally believe if this is your first time that you're booking a trip to Thailand, I would do a lot of travelling around. So what I'm going to do for this video is I'm going to imaginary book a kind of trip, and kind of show you what my thought process is when I'm booking hotels for my trips. So my imaginary trip is going to be a single man's trip, say 40 years old. You know, I'm definitely not turning 40 next month. But this is the first trip to Thailand. They've got 3 weeks. Single man, 40 years old. May want to kind of dabble in the nightlife scene in Thailand and meet someone, if you catch my drift. But you're travelling alone. You also want to experience. You kind of want to experience everything that Thailand's got to offer. So that's the kind of itinerary that I've made up. Now, this isn't a guide on, you know, what you should do on your first trip to Thailand. This is more focused on what you need to do when it comes to selecting your hotels. Now, while I believe this wouldn't be a bad itinerary for a first trip to Thailand for someone, you know, of that age and everything else, it is just a guide. I've just kind of made the scenario up so I show you what I do when I select my hotels. Again, budgets will vary, people's needs will vary. You know, some people might be happy to do the hostel route, some people might be happy to stop in a guest house, other people might have a lot of needs where, you know, they need to stay in a 5-star luxury with, you know, fine dining and an extensive gym and all that kind of stuff. Now what this video is going to do is I've set a budget which is very similar to what I kind of use when I'm booking my trips, but the process is the same. The process is exactly the same regardless of your budget, whether you want to spend, you know, $5 a night or $200 a night or whatever. You know, this video it's all about the process and how you go about selecting the right hotels, because the wrong hotel can kind of put a dampener on things. So anyway, now's the time to go through the kind of process. So the first thing I'll do is I'll share. So in this imaginary scenario, what we've done is we've booked our flights. We roughly know where we want to go, which places we want to visit, and now we're ready to kind of book the hotels. So I'm going to bring up a spreadsheet because I am a sad accountant and I have spreadsheeted all of this out. So in this imaginary scenario, we're landing, and this isn't exactly how I wanted it to be. So it has Americanized the dates, and I did want it to be 11th of so I wanted this to be a November trip because let's just go down here and make this a November trip. So it is Americanized dates 4th of April to, not 4th of April, I'll get my teeth in, 4th of November to the 24th of November. So you've booked these flights, and my itinerary, and I think this would be a good one, but again, if you want to go somewhere else, it's up to you. This isn't necessarily, this is the best itinerary for someone going to Thailand for the first time who falls in the, 40-year-old, probably recently divorced and single man, but it would work, trust me. So I've got us down as going to, so you're going to land in Bangkok, spend 4 nights in Bangkok, 5 nights in Chiang Mai, 5 nights in Phuket, and then 1 week in Pattaya. This would be a good itinerary, and if I was doing this all again, this is something that I would probably look at. Now, what you've done is you've set your itinerary, and that's set in stone. I will caveat that you do need to do a little bit of, sometimes do need to be a little bit flexible in Thailand with certain stuff, but I personally would plan in this much detail. My last trip, I went for 3 weeks, and I had planned and booked the first half of my trip, but then I kind of knew that I was hiring a car for the second half of the trip, and then I kind of just did the rest on the fly. But again, I was a bit more experienced in Thailand, so I think for your first trip, do plan everything. And also, if you are a single guy going to Thailand for the first time, you've probably heard a lot about Pattaya. So what I would suggest you do, if you actually want to see Thailand and experience Thailand, is definitely stick Pattaya at the end of your trip. Because if you stick Pattaya here, for example, you want to plan your first 4 nights in Pattaya here, what you're going to end up doing is doing this. You will not want to leave. And then what you're going to end up doing for your next trip the following year is doing this. And then what you're going to do for the next trip the following year is doing this. So, and it probably won't be until you're like 10 years down the line that you might actually want to go somewhere else. So I would always personally, first trip, leave Pattaya till the end. It's it's an absolute single man's playground. Leave it till the end. And also, if you went to Pattaya first, you'd probably end up blowing all of your budget. Not hotel budget, but spending money budget. You know where I'm getting at here. So, the second thing, once you've got your itinerary, i.e. where you want to go, and again, just before I move on actually, if you're umming and ahhing about travelling around Thailand, you don't like the idea of moving around too much and all this kind of stuff. One thing I will say is that internal flights are really easy, and if you haven't got a lot of luggage, they're so cheap. Like, I would say a one-way trip somewhere, so Bangkok to Chiang Mai, as long as you book probably a few weeks in advance, it's going to be about 1,000 baht. Now, if you need to put a bag on the plane, that might be another 800 baht. So, if you're carrying a lot of luggage, which is always a mistake I make, then it's going to cost you more. But honestly, if you're just travelling with a hold bag, like a Ryanair style, and it is easy to get your clothes washed in Thailand and really cheap, so travel light. Internal flights, 1,000 baht a flight, roughly. Even that, and that includes even Phuket. The only caveat to that is if you want to go to Koh Samui, there's a bit of a monopoly with the airline there. I think it's Thai Smile or Bangkok Airways. I can't remember who it is, but they've got a monopoly on Koh Samui. So then you're looking at more like 4,000 baht one way to Koh Samui, which is a bit of a pain. But anyway, Koh Samui is not on this itinerary. So then you want to set a budget. So this is the second thing you want to do, is set a budget. And I would start off with this number here. So in your home currency, how much do you want to spend in total on your hotels? Now, this is Thailand, so you know it's not going to be £100 a night like it would be in the UK. Now, I know roughly what to set this to because I've got some experience now, but honestly, just set this to, right, I want to spend X on accommodation, and then start doing this process. And you might actually find that, you know, if you're happy with guest houses, you might not even spend that £600. So, and you'll see how we can do this in a minute. So then what you want to do is then change that to local currency. So this is Thai baht. I've just used an exchange rate here of 42 baht to the pound, which is kind of where it is floating around at now. Now, when you come to look to go, maybe it goes down to 40, it could go up to 45. Just stick that number in. To be honest with you, even if it does drop to 40, it makes little difference to the amount per night. As you can see here, you know, I changed that from 42 to 40 and you ended up losing 50 odd baht per night. And if it went up to 45, you would gain 85 baht a night. It's not the end of the world if the exchange rate moves on this particular spreadsheet. So then that gives you a budget of 1,200 baht per night in this instance. I've said I want to spend £600 on accommodation for my 3 weeks. And that's given me a budget of 1,200 per night. Now, to give you a bit of an idea of what to expect, so if you want to stay in hostels, you could spend 400 baht a night or less. If you want to stay in guest house style accommodation, you would probably want to put that up to 800 baht per night. Even if you don't want to. But again, it all depends on location. But we're going to go through this. Me personally, at 1,200 baht as an average, this gives you a comfortable hotel. I think this gives you a comfortable hotel in most places with air conditioning. You may get a swimming pool, you may not. You may get a balcony, you may not. Again, but I think this, for me, this is kind of like the perfect standard for me. It kind of gets you that 3-star to 4-star experience, somewhere in that range. If you wanted to book that up to 1,600 baht a night, then you're probably going to be in 4-star accommodation. Maybe not in Phuket and Bangkok, but you probably will. You certainly will get a very good hotel in Chiang Mai and in Pattaya, for that matter. And then if you went to 2,000 plus a night, you're going to be in top quality, and you don't really need to, if you can go a lot higher than that. If you wanted to stay in the Hilton in Pattaya, for example, you could be paying 6,000 baht a night. But you know, set your budget according to those kind of ranges in your head. I like to shoot for the kind of very comfortable but not extravagant hotels. You know, I like to have a nice room. And this picture here that I was using before, this was a hotel in Chiang Rai. I will point out the fact, and I didn't spot this until I started this video, but I took this picture with zero clothes on, and the reason why you can see that is because there's a reflection of my shoulder stroke like neck here. I did quick check the rest of the picture to see if there wasn't anything else really bad in there, but it's fine. So now that you've got yourself a budget per night, now I would say just use that as a guide. You then kind of want to think about what amenities you want from your hotels. And that doesn't necessarily mean at what comfort level, but just the things that you want. So I'm just going to put a few down here. So you want air conditioning. Now, some people actually prefer not to have air conditioning because they find it kind of dries them out or makes them sick if they leave the aircon on too long, or they want a fan room. And that's great if you're one of those people, because you can save a lot of money on your hotels that way. Some people may want a balcony. Now, my lady friend, she does smoke, and therefore having a balcony makes her happy, so I always kind of search for a room with a balcony. That's normally fine, apart from in Bangkok. That does kind of limit you quite a bit actually. In Bangkok, a lot of rooms don't have balconies, so bear that in mind. Other things you might want are a gym. Me personally, I think I use the gym once all trip, on all of my trips actually. I think I used the gym once on my first trip, once on my second trip, and once on the last trip. And that's only because at the time my girlfriend was like getting her nails done. I think that was on the second and third trip that was the case, and then the first trip I just went because, you know, I was going out for the evening in Bangkok and I wanted to look a bit buff. So I got myself a bit of a pump on. So I'm only going to select air conditioning and a balcony as the two things that I absolutely must have. If you're driving around Thailand, you're going to want to definitely select parking. And what other things do you want? So you might want a swimming pool, and actually what I will do is I will put swimming pool in there for when we go to somewhere like Phuket. Because Phuket is more of a holiday beach type feel, and you might want some lazy days around the pool. Also, don't go too crazy with the amenities that you need. Just put down what you absolutely need. You know, because especially in places like Pattaya, you know, you think you're going to be spending a lot of time doing things in the hotel, going to gyms, going to the swimming pool, you know, whatever else, you know, eating in your fine dining restaurant or whatever it might be. But the reality is, when you get to Thailand, you won't be. You'll want to be spending as much time out of the hotel and, you know, seeing temples or doing, you know, going to the bars as possible. You're going to be eating out every day, every meal. You know, you're not going to spend too much time in the room. You know, at night time you will, towards the end of the night, but you know, you're not going to be. I find you don't use the amenities as much as what you think you do. So now you know what amenities you want. Now this is a personal preference, so kind of like the fourth thing I do. So we've gone, you know, we've got our itinerary, we've got our budget, we know what amenities we want. The next thing I do then is I look at each one of these locations, and this is a personal preference. Some people prefer to do this the other way round, but I prefer to stay near the nightlife spots. So you want to research where the nightlife spots are in each particular place that you're staying, and the nightlife spots where you think you're going to be spending the most time. The reason I say this is because when it's the daytime and you want to do, you know, temple runs, or you want to go to the beach, or you've got an activity planned, you know, maybe you're going to an elephant sanctuary, maybe you're going on a day tour, you know, whatever it may be. All that's easily done when it's daytime, you're sober, and you've already pre-organised these things, etc., etc. Getting around is a lot easier in the daytime than what it is in the night time, when you've had a few Leos and you might be not as compos mentis as you would normally be. So I always like to be within stumbling distance of wherever I'm drinking in case I have too many, because what can happen in Thailand or anywhere in the world is, if you're, you know, 4 kilometers away from your hotel while you're drunk, if it's very late at night, you might struggle to get a taxi. That won't be the case in Pattaya, but it might be in other places. If you are very drunk and you need a taxi, you know, there's a risk of, you know, if you've had a lot too many, that you could end up throwing up in the taxi and then you're in trouble. But the big one is taxi drivers all over the world do like to overcharge drunk people. So, and if you spot this and then you have a drunken argument with a taxi driver, especially in Thailand, that could end badly. So I just always think I want to be in stumbling distance of my hotel when I'm drinking. So I always stay near the nightlife. Now you might think the opposite, because what you might get then is you might get noise at night when you're trying to sleep if you're not massively into the nightlife scene, or you're not going to stay out to closing time, or you're worried about other stuff, by staying too close to the nightlife. But for me, I always research where the nightlife spots are, which nightlife spots am I going to be spending the most time while I'm in that place, and then book your hotel near to that place so that you haven't got far to travel when you've had a few beers. That was a long explanation, but I'll go over what I've got here. So what I've done here is I'll go back a few steps. So Chiang Mai nightlife. Now I've chosen Chiang Mai to do this with because if you have been researching nightlife in Thailand, you're probably going to be quite familiar with what's happening in Bangkok, what's happening in Pattaya. I mean, Pattaya is basically Thai nightlife. And you probably know about Bangla Road in Phuket, but not a lot of people know about Chiang Mai. So I'm going to use this as a good guide for finding out where the nightlife is. So I've just typed in Chiang Mai nightlife. Excuse me. And you get a map that shows you where all the bars are, and you get some articles. Now if you go with TripAdvisor or Forever Vacation, you're going to get quite a generalised picture of that. Now if you scroll down a little bit more, you'll find that there's websites like this, Thailand Red Cat, which focuses more on the girly bar scene, if that's what you're into. If you're into the nightclubs, just have a browse through these websites and see, what styles of nightlife there is and what would be best suited to you. As this scenario, 40-year-old single man, you're probably going to want to be around the girly bar areas. But I'll give you an overview. I'll click on Chiang Mai and I'll give you a bit of an overview of the different nightlife areas and the different areas of Chiang Mai. So this square here is what they call the Old Town. Honestly, staying anywhere within this square isn't a bad thing. Now you do have here, so this Zoe in yellow, it says here popular backpacker and hip hop nightlife spot. There are some other bars around there. So there's a reggae bar, there's some live music bars around here as well, there's a sports bar. That would be a decent area to kind of think about. And if I zoom out, the main kind of girly bar area is on this road called Loy Crow Road and Loy Crow Boxing Stadium. So you've got essentially a Muay Thai boxing stadium that's surrounded by beer bars. That's probably my favourite place to go and drink. It's very much like similar to Soy Made in Thailand in Pattaya or Soy 7 in Bangkok. It's got that kind of feel. So I kind of say anywhere within this kind of region where you're around Loy Crow Road, that would be a good spot as well. If you're kind of more of a trendy kind of person or a bit younger than me, then another good area would be this Niman area. So this has got some you know, some Thai bars and some upmarket bars and some cocktail bars. It's also quite, that's, how do I say this? It feels like this is more aimed towards like the South Korean Japanese market, but and more upmarket scene. You've also got some karaoke bars around this area as well. So here, that's more aimed towards the Thai people, and if you know anything about Thai karaoke bars, then this might be a place to avoid. I've heard some horror stories about Chiang Mai and the karaoke bars there. I've not been, so I can't really comment, but you know, there was one story I heard about, you know, a guy went in there drinking for a few hours and ended up with a bill for about 40,000 baht, and they were threatening to kill him if he didn't pay up. So yeah, karaoke bars are, you know, you've got to know what you're doing before you go in those. I just stay clear of them because they're the kind of ones where you hear the horror stories. So I would suggest that either in the old town or around Loy Crow Road is where you want to be if you're kind of in my demographic. So you've done this for all your locations. I'm not going to do it for every single location. So now you want to go to book a hotel and start looking at hotels. Now, when it comes to Southeast Asia and therefore Thailand, you want this website, Agoda. Now, Agoda's not really used too much in the West, but it is amazing when it comes to Thailand. So what I'm going to do here, type in Chiang Mai. Here we go, Chiang Mai City. Let's have a look at the dates that we've set. We're going to be arriving on the 8th, and we've got 5 nights, so the 8th of November. So let's stick those dates in. Now, as you can see, it's kind of giving you prices already. Now, what I would do here in Agoda, again, this is just, I prefer to do this. So it says suggested currencies here, pounds, and it does default to pounds. And if I look at my earlier bookings, it was set to pounds. But I would always find the local currency. Click on that and then look for your hotels. The reason why I suggest doing that is because it kind of gets rid of another layer of variation in the prices. Because, you know, prices fluctuate for hotels based on supply and demand. We all know that. They change quite rapidly. But if you put your local currency in there as well, you're adding in the exchange rate variance, you know, day by day, week by week, month by month, into that hotel pricing. And it just kind of muddies the waters. To get a more consistent price, just go with the local currency of the country you're going to. Okay, so we said we were going to be there on the 8th of November. Now, as you can see, we're going out quite far now, so it's not kind of giving us a price guide. We want to go for 5 nights, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's another tip. If you are going alone, but you think at some point you won't be alone in that room, book for 2 people. It doesn't really change the price. Even if there's breakfast included, it might change the price by like 40 baht or 80 baht a night, if that. You know, or if you are meeting a girlfriend out there or something like that, you definitely want to book for 2 people. You don't have to name the other person. You can do, but you don't have to. So leave that as for 2 adults. And then click search. So now I've noticed that here already that these prices are quite a bit higher than what I paid for when I last went. So we might struggle here to get something that I would consider within my comfort range. But you've got your filters here. Now this is already here because I've used this quite a bit, but if you wanted to go on to filters here, I would start doing this now. So this is when we were talking about your amenities before. So I said I need a balcony and I need air conditioning. Now I don't necessarily want a swimming pool because in Chiang Mai, you know, it's not kind of really that thing. It's all about, you know, I'm going to Chiang Mai to see all the temples in the daytime, do all trips. I might go to Doi Intanon. There's lots of things you can do around Chiang Mai in the daytime. You're not going to be in your room. You're not going to be in your room at all during the day. But then, of course, at night time you want to be in the nightlife areas. Basically what I'm saying is in the daytime you're not going to be in your room and therefore you're not going to be using the pool. You know, during the sunlight hours you're either going to be, you know, eating or doing whatever you need to do activity wise. So now this is giving you a list of hotels. What I then tend to do is I then tend to click on this search on map. Okay, and this gives you, and this is why, another reason why Agoda is so good. It tells you the price per night as a kind of a flag for each of these hotels. Now, I did say anything within this square or near Loy Crow Road would be good. I think anything as close to Loy Crow Road as you can get would be great. Now this one here is one that I kind of would recommend if you're into this. So Hotel Montar is one that I stopped in. It's coming up here as 1021 baht. Now you might think, well, I've got a bit more baht to play with than that. I will say that Chiang Mai is cheaper than Phuket and Bangkok, and possibly would be cheaper than Pattaya. Pattaya is a weird one. You can get amazing deals sometimes in Pattaya, or sometimes the hotel prices are really high. It just depends on the demand. And I think because of what's happened with COVID recently, the demand for Pattaya has gone sky high. So what you can do here, you can really bring this down and say, look, I really don't want anything above, you know, 1,350 per night. Again, this sometimes isn't great in terms of filtering them out on Agoda. It kind of brings up location rating, but you don't really need to know that. You know what the location is. So we've got a few. So again, we've got a few that's it's coming up with now. Now I've noticed that Hotel Montar has disappeared. If I bring this budget per night back up, it probably will refresh and it comes back up, look. So again, you just be a bit careful because the prices can vary a little bit. That's why I don't go all the way down to my budget on this. I kind of go, you know, just weed out all the really expensive stuff. And these prices are a bit of a guide, because if I was to click on this Hotel Montar, it then brings it up in a new window. It's got the dates that you want, and then we go to look for a room, and this is where, you know, you've kind of booked the room essentially. Now it is quite important that you read this carefully, because what tends to happen on Agoda is you'll get two prices for the same room every time. And you need to look why that is. Now, what tends to happen is you might get one price if you pay up front, and that's cheaper than what you get if you don't pay up front. Or some of them include breakfast, which is what's happening here. So this will include breakfast for two if you're willing to pay 1,262 baht. Excuse me. Um, but if you don't want breakfast, it's 1,033 baht. Now, how do I feel about breakfast included? I know where this hotel is situated, and I know that there are lots of options for breakfast nearby. You're in the middle of Chiang Mai. It's easy to get breakfast. Especially at Loi Kro Road, it's a kind of a bit of a Farang area, so there will be full English breakfast available, and there will be Thai, like rice soups and all that kind of stuff available, within a short walking distance of your hotel. So personally here, I would not opt for breakfast. It may be that you're really hungover one day and you don't want to get up for breakfast, so it kind of gives you that option. I generally don't go for breakfast unless I'm kind of in a remote area, or a very Thai area. So when I stopped in Chiang Rai, for example, now Chiang Rai, a lot of people do go there, but actually the centre of Chiang Rai isn't very touristy. So if you're going to Chiang Rai, and also the nightlife in Chiang Rai, it's very unlikely that you're going to go out, get smashed and have a terrible hangover and not be able to wake up for breakfast in Chiang Rai. In Chiang Mai, it's a different story. So yeah, I usually don't go for breakfast unless I know it's going to be a slower pace and a slower drinking pace. So what room do you go for? Now, this one, just look at the pictures. So this one, it says it has a balcony, but it appears like it doesn't have a balcony. It's very basic. I would say don't go for the budget room on this one, especially because the price difference between a budget double room and a double room with a patio is 40 baht. Now you've got to remember that's a pound. That's a pound a night. So why would you not do that? Twin rooms, you don't want twin rooms, you want double rooms. So here we go, a double room with a balcony here is 1,074 baht without breakfast and 1,303 baht with breakfast. I'm not sure what the difference is for double room with a balcony and economy double room with a balcony. I have no idea what the difference is there. But what I would do at this point, so you might see these two different prices. So the different prices here is because I've got Agoda cash available, because I've booked before and you get a little tiny bit back, and it is a tiny bit, as you can see, like I'm saving 12 baht a night here. So then what you do is, right, okay, I want this one, double room with a balcony, click on reserve. So once you've booked that room or reserved that room, I would then go back to your spreadsheet, and we've booked a double room with a balcony at 1,074 baht a night. Stick that in here, 1,074 baht a night, and then what you've got is it's kind of giving you a difference. So we've actually saved 162 baht a night in that particular area. So then I would look for your next hotels in Bangkok. So we would go back to here. I would just change this to Bangkok. We arrive on the 4th and we want to leave on the 8th. Again, leave it as 2 adults. It really doesn't make too much difference. What you would notice is if you had 1 adult, that when it includes breakfast, it would be slightly less. That's all it's going to do. It's literally going to save you like possibly 50 baht. It's not worth it. Now, Bangkok, the prices are going to vary a lot more in Bangkok than anywhere else. This is looking like we've got some decent rooms though here. So again, what's going to happen there with Bangkok is once you click balcony and air conditioning, you're going to get quite limited amounts of rooms because balconies just aren't really a thing. Now, be careful of the first two that always crop up here. They're kind of, I think they're kind of advertised, or there's some kind of algorithm. This one here I have actually stopped at before, Heaven at 4. I might actually at the end go through some of the ones that I've stopped at and just give you my thoughts, or I might do that as a separate video, so like some actual hotel recommendations. Heaven at 4 is not one I would recommend, or if you do book here, let's just give it a click actually, because I stopped here and the room I had didn't have a window, didn't have anything, you didn't even know what was going off on the outside. So I think I had a junior suite, and you can see how cheap these rooms are, but there's a reason. This didn't have, see that isn't a window. That isn't a window to the outside world. My safe didn't work either, and that is just a massive no-no for me if the safe doesn't work. The vast majority of hotels will have a safe, but you can click that actually as something that you require. So again, we've clicked that we want a balcony and we want air conditioning, and then you search on the map. I always do this. So the kind of there's two nightlife areas that you might want to stay near. There's Khao San Road, that's more for the younger backpackers. And then there's the Sukhumvit area. So anything really between Nana Station and Asok Station, or anywhere on this BTS line is good for Bangkok. So again, then we zoom in to this area here. You want to get rid of all the stuff that's ridiculously priced, so probably go down to anything that's 2,000 baht. And then you kind of just want to have a look around, just hover over stuff. So, you know, like I say, anywhere in this area is good. So that's where we've got that Heaven at 4. Interestingly, the one I stayed at isn't coming up, so I stopped at this one, Alt Nana Hotel. It must be more expensive for some reason. But here we go. So you've got some that have got like a thumbs up recommendation. Let's have a look here. Paradise and Jelly Bean. Just hover over them. Just see if it's green. It's more of a, I don't know. Green's slightly different. Green is not a hotel, really. It's more of a guest house, or it's almost a bit Airbnb-ish when it's green. So I tend to avoid those. I like to stay in an actual hotel. So again, I'm just hovering over these, see what's what. Nothing really here is tickling my fancy, I must admit. Now this, you do kind of have to be a bit, you know, is it too good to be true? Kind of thing with this stuff. So we've got an ibis here. Now ibises, you know, they are going to be a bit soulless. Oh, that looks good. So Grace Hotel Bangkok. Actually, I'm going to avoid that because it's only got a 6.7 rating. So you might want to go. So if you are struggling, the next thing that I would filter on is not star rating, because star ratings actually don't mean a lot. Basically that tells you what amenities there are. So if it's got a gym and something, you can buy a packet of crisps, it can be a 4-star hotel. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good hotel. I would go with guest rating of 8 or more is a good place to be. Now, interestingly, that's just completely wiped out all my results. What's going off? Let's go. Let's go back to the search. And let's go back to anything that's excellent or not. Okay, so now we've got some more more options. Let's go in there. You'll see some of these are quite expensive, so let's get the budget per night down to 2,100, and so we can get rid of a lot of this stuff. Now, what you might find is that if you're near the nightlife areas, you might struggle to get exactly what you want. Sometimes this doesn't quite update as fast as you want it to either, this website. So, what have you got here? You've got the Majestic Suites Hotel. I've not heard amazing things about that, but it does kind of tick all the boxes. Ibis looks like it's coming up trumps, but again at 2,000 baht a night, is that in our budget? Probably not. So Omni Tower, this is coming up as 5-star, 7.75 rating. I don't know why it's still. So again, it is a bit hit and miss. But me personally, I would then look at something like, ooh, have we got a winner? We've got a 4-star here, Citrus Sukhumvit 11. Sukhumvit 11 is like a bit of a nightclub area, so this is a really good location. Citrus Suites, this looks really nice. Now, again, so you've got a cozy twin and a cozy double. Now, does this mean it hasn't got a balcony? It probably is. So, and then you've got a classy room. Has this got a balcony? It doesn't really show you much. You've got a deluxe. We're probably getting into the realms of something that's a bit too expensive at the minute. Still no balcony. So this is where you've got to be careful about the filters. We filtered on a balcony here. Now it probably means that this has a balcony. That might be a balcony there. So there's probably only one room that's got a balcony. Let's have. So that might not fit the bill. Again, let's zoom in here. There's one there for 1,100. Now, again, what you could do is just go a little bit out of the way. I know that there's this area here is also pretty nice. This is called the On Nut area. On Nut, something like that. And there's some quite nice hotels around here also. Yeah, I stayed at this one, but it's not coming up. Look at this room. So the Romance Hotel. It's got it. Hop in Bangkok. Let's have a look at this. This is really cheap. It's only 2-star, but has it got what we need? Don't worry about the star systems, honestly. So this is a standard double. It says it has a balcony. Does it? No. Again, you've got to be quite careful with the whole balcony situation. Bedrooms Boutique. Again, this doesn't really look like it's got much of a balcony. So, like I say, this is where you do struggle a lot in Bangkok to find a room with a balcony and everything that you need. So it might be that you end up overpaying. Let's have a look at this Omni Tower. Again, that doesn't look like it's got balconies. But look at this, Omni Tower direct rooms. This looks insane for the money. So you've got a studio here. So again, this room doesn't look that great, but it's got, you know, it might have everything that you need. But you soon find that when you get to the suite, it's all of a sudden a lot more expensive. So yeah, finding a room in Bangkok with all the amenities that we need can be challenging, as I've said. I think we just... So I'm just going to say, screw this, I'm biting the bullet, and this is probably the best value one that I've seen. So this cosy double, I'm going to say just sod it, we're not having a balcony, sorry, we're going to spend 1,555 baht. Now, if I go back to my spreadsheet, I type in 1,555, and you'll see that we've overspent here by 355 baht a night, but actually in total, when you combine that with the savings we've had in Chiang Mai, we're actually only 790 baht out of pocket. So then we go to Phuket. So Phuket, Thailand. What dates are we staying in Phuket for? We're staying to the 13th for 5 nights. Is it 5 nights? Yep, 5 nights. So 13. Does that say 5 nights? It does normally tell you how many nights that you've got for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Now, the nightlife area in Phuket is Bangla Road. So we want to look around this area. Again, we want to get rid of anything that's crazy prices. And then you want to, if we get out of here, so let's get rid of everything that's a crazy price. Down to 2,000 baht. We want a balcony, we want air conditioning, and we want a swimming pool, because in Phuket you want to relax a bit. Then you go, let's look at the map. And you've got all of your filters applied here. Now, you are going to have, so Phuket is a little bit more expensive than Chiang Mai again. You're probably gonna, but you're not going to have the problem of finding a balcony. So Soi Sansabai is a really nice area. This looks like a decent hotel. You know, do you really want to go down to the 600 baht level? I don't know. So the Top Patong Resort, that's got 7.3 rating. That's not amazing, but so this Ocean and Oli Patong has a 8.2 rating. It's 3 stars. It's in a fantastic location. You're right next to Soi Sansabai, which is a cracking area. That looks like a decentish pool to me. And let's just check out the rooms. So you've got a deluxe double room, deluxe double balcony room. I think we're onto a winner already here. Now the decor, is it that great? Does it matter? Not really. It's got a shower. You know, it's got a decent rain. It's got a decent rain shower. It's gonna have aircon. It's got a balcony. You've got a coffee machine, soap, shampoo. You've got a safe. That is ticking all the boxes already. Now, are there better hotels than that? Yes, I stopped in the Gig Hotel, so I would prefer that. And again, look at the difference here for breakfast. You can either have it here for 1,187 baht or pay 1,499 baht. That's crazy for breakfast. So you're paying an extra 320 baht roughly for breakfast for 2 people. Now in Phuket, that might actually not be the worst idea, because in Patong you're going to find it difficult to get a cheap breakfast. But you know, there might be some days where you don't wake up for breakfast, so I would always go for no breakfast when you're in a highly populated area like this, and a Farang kind of targeted area. So I'm going to cheat and go for the cheaper on app price. Again, you just click on reserve, it's all done. Pay nothing until November the 11th. That's amazing. Always try and get these pay nothings, because then if your plans change, you're not out of pocket. So let's go with the cheaper on app price of 1,166 baht and stick that in here. So 1,166 baht. Again, we've saved 34 baht a day. In total, we're 620 baht out of pocket for our budget. So that leaves a week in Pattaya from the 18th to the 24th. Again, I would just stick in Pattaya. 18th to the 24th. Search. Now what you can do, instead of trying to kind of target that 1,200 price range, you might really want to look at some of the cheaper options. You know, you might find, because when I was looking in Chiang Mai, Hotel Montar, I paid 800 baht for that hotel, and it was perfectly adequate. I would recommend it for anyone, and at 800 baht it was a bit of a steal. I mean, it was that cheap at the time because Chiang Mai wasn't really that buzzing, to be honest. Whereas I think at the moment Pattaya is just an absolutely, you know, there's so much demand in Pattaya at the minute. So again, you want to just click the things you want. You want a balcony. You want air conditioning. Where the hell's air conditioning? What's going off? Why can't I select air conditioning? Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Room amenities, air conditioning, absolutely. Do you want a swimming pool in Pattaya? Me personally, I can take it or leave it, so I'm going to leave it. We've selected our budget. Let's look at the map. Now, Pattaya isn't exactly a massive place. You know, anywhere, I would say anywhere between South Pattaya Road and Central Pattaya Road, and then Third Road onwards. So this square here, anywhere there is going to be perfectly fine. However, I think the Soi Buakhao area is an absolute winner. So let's really zoom in here, see what we get. So you've got the Archon Residence, Archon Hotel at Siam. Now I kind of know quite a lot of these hotels. I'm surprised the D Hotel hasn't come up. There's D Apartments. Don't really know what the difference is. I think one's kind of, you don't quite get the hotel experience as such. Now the August Suites is an exceptional one. It's got really good ratings. Flipper House Hotel, that is on Soy, that's Soy 7, isn't it? That is a good one. Flipper House. Again, you might, I'm not saying you want to chuck your budget out the window, but you know, if you're going to be paying an extra 200 baht a night, you've got to remember that's £5 to get yourself a really, just that slightly better hotel. Sometimes it's worth it. Sleep With Me Pattaya, I've heard the good things about that one. The Honey Inn, Honey Boutique, P plus. I've heard this is all right. You know, the P plus. Again, this is LK Metro. I wouldn't necessarily want to stay at LK Metro. Again, I don't particularly these greets. So this is, you can stay in the base. You can stay in like a condo. I think for a week you're probably better off just staying in a hotel. If I'm being perfectly honest, condos are more for people who are kind of there longer term. So my tips here would possibly be this P plus for 1,000 baht. It says it's 4-star, and I know that it's got swimming pool, and it's a big hotel. So let's have a look at some of the prices. Okay, so we're already getting to a point where twin bed, studio twin bed, you don't want those rooms. So your standard room is kind of your best bet here. Now, it's not got any pictures of the standard room, but let's see what else we've got. If we just look at what the studio twin bed looks like, and then your standard room is just going to be the same but with a double bed. You know, I think this looks pretty fine. Again, the location is pretty decent. So let's just go with this one. This has got everything that we need. Now you've got lots of options here. So you've got options that include breakfast. Again, if you're in Pattaya, do not get anything that includes breakfast if you have to pay more for it, because you can get breakfast for like 99 baht and they're pretty damn good. So don't bother getting a hotel with breakfast, because hotel breakfasts in Thailand can be very hit and miss. So you definitely don't want to be paying 400 baht for a breakfast. Now, out of these options, you can either pay 1,117 baht or 1,118 baht. One of them you don't pay anything until November 12. The other one you pay now, and if you cancel you lose 50%. It's a no-brainer. Pay the extra baht and have 1,118 baht. So there you go. This is exactly how I would do it. So 1,118 baht for my Pattaya hotel. And look at that, we've come in within 46 baht of our total budget. This is how I would do it. I would save money in places like Chiang Mai, spend a bit extra in places like Bangkok. Now, you might get to that point and you might think to yourself, I'm not quite happy with the level of comfort in some of those hotels, so you might want to flex your budget accordingly. Me personally, I think the hotel that we found in Phuket was okay. The hotel we found in Chiang Mai, I've stayed in before, it's great. The hotel in Bangkok looked good. But me personally, I thought the hotel that we picked in Pattaya, the P plus, I know it looks okay on the photos, but me personally, I would probably think to myself, look, I'm spending a week in Pattaya. I know I gave myself a £600 budget, but actually I might just lift that up a little bit, and maybe I go for something that's 1,600 baht, or maybe I just chuck in an extra 100 quid into that budget and uplift this so that I can go to like 1,700 baht. Now, if you was to do that, what would you get in Pattaya? So let's kind of go down the route of the kind of like the 1,600, 1,700 baht route. You know, what would you get? And I don't know. I think this just kind of proves like that at the moment Pattaya is just in very high demand because some of the hotels that I would have normally expected to see around here just aren't coming up. So for example, if I was to just come off this, I know that there's some places like D Hotel. Why is D Hotel Pattaya not coming up? It's just not. Here we go. D Hotel. Search. Is it fully booked up? See, this is, again, Agoda's a little bit weird because I've just typed in D Hotel. It says we've only got one room at this price. Standard room, 1,200 baht. That is absolutely within our price range, and I would absolutely book this hotel. But look at this, just look at the difference. The deluxe room, I'm telling you, there's not that much difference between the deluxe room and the standard room. I've stayed in both in this hotel, and to be wanting double the price for the deluxe room is crazy. Just go for the standard room. So yeah, that is mental. I would definitely be changing that to 1,200 baht for the D Hotel. What does that mean? We've overspent by 620 baht. Now that is 620 baht, that's 15 quid. So your total budget goes up to 615 quid. That's fine. So I hope that was kind of helpful for you in terms of how my mentality when it comes to booking hotels. You know, that is exactly what I would be doing for my trip if this was my itinerary. One thing that I will show you actually is if there's kind of more than one hotel that you like the look of, what you can do is say, right, D Hotel Pattaya, I like the look of this one. You can see this heart here. If you click on this heart, that becomes a saved property. And then if you do the same for, well, you know, we looked at this one earlier. So you were umming and ahhing between these two hotels. You didn't know which one to go for. Actually, looking at this again, some of these hotel pictures of the rooms and the picture of the gym especially, that almost might be selling it to me. Look at that. That is sexy. That is exactly what you need from a hotel gym. So, you know, then you could click on this and it's part of your saved properties. So if I then click on my, you probably can't see this because my head's in the way, but somewhere around here, you click on your own name and then there's an option called Save Properties List. And as you can see, I've saved quite a few properties for different areas of Thailand. So you can save them and then think about booking them later. You can keep going back to check the prices. So if you put in the dates there, it will change the prices for you. But yeah, I've saved these two hotels now, and you've got the P plus, you've got the D Hotel, and as you can see, look, the D Hotel's got an 8.5. That is very good. So again, like I say, I hope that's helped you. Agoda isn't perfect in terms of its filters and all that kind of stuff, but it is still the best one to use for Thailand. Booking.com seems to exclude quite a few hotels and seems to be a little bit more pricey. Plus I just find it a little bit more finicky. Agoda is the way to go. Plus also, if you book multiple hotels like this, so when I went to Thailand on my last trip, I stayed in 8 different hotels in the space of 3 weeks. Not all of them were booked on Agoda, but I can show you actually. Let's do... No, forget it. I'll do this in a separate video because this is already going to be well over an hour long. But yeah, this is exactly what I do in terms of booking a hotel. This is exactly the process I go through. And I hope that helps. Now again, I know that there's the whole spreadsheet thing and it seems a bit like a militant operation, but if you are moving around a lot, I think it's the kind of the best way to do it. Set the budget to how much you want to spend, try to find hotels within that price range that kind of fit all your criteria, fit your needs. This particular hotel, when I went on my last trip, I saved a lot of money on Hotel Montar. I said that was 800 baht a night. So what I did then was I kind of upgraded my Chiang Rai hotel, because I found that Chiang Rai you either had kind of guest roomy hotels that didn't look that great, or you had quite luxurious hotels. Say luxurious, but luxury for me. So I splashed out, and I think this one was about 1,500 to 1,600 baht a night. We didn't end up using this wonderful swimming pool, because again, you think you're going to use these things, but honestly quite often you do not. But the room was great, and we did get good value for money. We got breakfast included, and it was actually quite a... I'm going too far into it. I'm giving you a review of this hotel, and I might do separate reviews for these hotels in separate videos. But anyway, thank you for watching. I hope that was useful. I hope that gives you some tips for like a multi-city like itinerary planning guide, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.